Commander Alan Shepard stood at the large window on the bridge of the USS Constellation. The stars looked like tiny white dots against the black space. His ship was on a normal patrol near the edge of where humans had explored. No one expected anything unusual to happen today. "Commander, I'm picking up something strange," said Communications Officer Kyle Bennett. His fingers moved quickly over his screen. "It's big and it's not one of ours." Alan walked over to Kyle's station. "Show me." The screen showed a large object moving toward them. It wasn't shaped like any ship humans had built. It had odd angles, and parts that seemed to move in ways that didn't make sense. "Get everyone to alert status," Alan ordered. "But don't power weapons yet. We don't want to seem unfriendly if they're not here to cause trouble." The crew moved with quick purpose. They had trained for this moment, but no one truly believed they would be the first humans to meet aliens. Lisa Martinez, the ship's intelligence officer, joined Alan at the main screen. "Sir, whatever it is, it's slowing down. I think they've seen us too." "Are they sending any messages?" Alan asked. "Nothing we can understand yet," Kyle replied. "But there's definitely a signal coming from them." For 3 tense hours, the Constellation and the alien ship faced each other in the emptiness of space. The crew worked to understand the strange signals coming from the other vessel. "I think I've got it," Kyle finally said. His face looked both excited and worried. "Our computer has found patterns in their signals. They're trying to talk to us." "Put it on the main screen," Alan ordered. The screen flickered and a strange image appeared. The creature looking back at them had a hard outer shell, many legs, and eyes that seemed to see everything at once. It looked like a mix between a crab and a spider, but much larger. "Greetings, humans of Earth vessel," the creature said, its mouth parts moving in strange ways. The computer translated its clicks and whistles into words. "We are the Zilarians, travelers of the Great Void. We wish to speak with your leaders." Alan straightened his uniform. As the commander of the Constellation, he would be the first human to officially speak with an alien species. "I am Commander Alan Shepard of the United Earth Alliance vessel Constellation. We welcome peaceful contact." The alien's head tilted. "We have studied your transmissions for some time. Your species is young but shows promise. We wish to meet in person to begin formal relations." Lisa stepped closer to Alan. "Sir, I'm not sure that's wise. We know nothing about them." "We can't turn down first contact," Alan whispered back. "Earth Command would never forgive us." He turned back to the screen. "We would be honored to meet with you. But our ship is small compared to yours. Perhaps we should come to your vessel?" The alien made a strange clicking sound that the translator couldn't understand. "No, Commander. Our air would be poison to you. We have studied your atmosphere and can adapt. We request permission to send 5 representatives to your ship." Alan looked at his senior officers. Chief Engineer Olivia Jackson shook her head slightly. Security Chief Peter Wilson looked unsure. Dr. Susan Harris, the ship's scientist who studied alien life, nodded eagerly. "Admiral Rogers should make this call," Lisa said. Alan nodded and ordered Kyle to send a message to Earth Command. It would take 20 minutes for the message to reach Earth and another 20 for a reply. The wait seemed endless. When the reply finally came, Admiral William Rogers appeared on the screen. "Commander Shepard, this is a historic moment for humanity," the Admiral said. His voice was firm. "You will allow the Zilarian delegation to board. Show them every courtesy. This is our chance to join the wider galaxy." "But sir," Alan began, "we know nothing about—" "Those are your orders, Commander," Rogers cut him off. "Earth needs allies out there. Make this happen." The screen went dark. Alan sighed and looked at his worried crew. "You heard the Admiral. Prepare to receive our guests. Dr. Harris, make sure medical runs full scans when they come aboard. Security, maintain a presence but keep weapons holstered. We want to seem friendly." 4 hours later, a small shuttle left the Zilarian ship. It approached the Constellation slowly. "They're requesting to dock at Airlock 7, Kyle reported. "Grant permission," Alan ordered. He straightened his uniform again and headed toward the airlock, with Lisa, Peter, and Susan following close behind. The sound of the airlock cycling seemed louder than usual. When the inner door opened, 5 tall creatures stepped through. They walked on 4 legs, using their front 2 limbs, like arms. Their hard shells gleamed under the ship's lights, showing colors that shifted and changed. Their eyes, each had 8, moved independently, taking in everything. The leader stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Kirvex. We bring greetings from the Zilarian Empire." Alan noticed how the aliens seemed to study the corridor, the door mechanisms, even the air vents. Their eyes missed nothing. "Welcome aboard the Constellation," Alan said. "I'm Commander Shepard. This is Intelligence Officer Martinez, Security Chief Wilson, and Dr. Harris, our xenobiologist." "We are honored," Kirvex said. "We have much to discuss. Your species has developed in isolation. There is much we can teach you." As they walked toward the conference room, Susan whispered excitedly to Alan, "This is amazing. Their exoskeletons seem to change color based on their emotions. And look at how they move. They're perfectly adapted for both zero gravity and normal conditions." Lisa was less enthusiastic. "Notice how they keep looking at all our systems? They're mapping our ship." "It's natural curiosity," Alan replied. "Wouldn't we do the same?" In the conference room, the Zilarians seated themselves carefully on the human chairs. "We wish to learn about your species," Kirvex said. "Your capabilities, your biology, your defenses. In return, we will share knowledge of the galaxy." "We're happy to exchange cultural information," Alan said carefully. "Of course," Kirvex agreed, but something in the alien's tone made Alan uneasy. "Cultural exchange is our primary goal." What none of the humans knew was that across 18 different star systems, the Zilarians had a single standing rule. Always board a new species vessels first. Study their weaknesses, then decide whether to welcome them to the galactic community, or eliminate a potential threat. And so far, the Zilarians had found most species too threatening to allow their continued existence. 3 days passed since the Zilarians came aboard the Constellation. The aliens moved about the ship with permission, always accompanied by security officers. They asked many questions about human society, technology, and biology. To most of the crew, they seemed friendly and curious, but not everyone was convinced. Frank Reyes, a junior engineer, noticed something strange while checking the ship's power systems. Small changes in power use that didn't make sense. Nothing big enough to cause problems, but definitely not normal. Frank looked at his screen again. The numbers didn't add up. Power was being drawn from sections where no one was supposed to be. He decided to talk to his boss. Chief Engineer Olivia Jackson was in the main engine room checking the drive systems. "Chief, can I show you something?" Frank asked. Olivia nodded. "What's on your mind, Reyes?" Frank showed her his screen. "Look at these power readings. They've been different ever since the aliens came aboard. Small amounts of power are being used in empty sections, and it changes locations every few hours." Olivia frowned. "Could be a sensor problem." I checked. "The sensors are working fine," Frank said. I think someone is connecting things to our power grid when we're not looking." Olivia studied the data more carefully. "You might be right." "Good catch, Frank. Let's take this to security." In another part of the ship, Dr. Susan Harris was reviewing footage of the Zilarians. As the ship's expert on alien life, she was eager to learn everything about their visitors. But something bothered her about their movements. She played a recording from the ship's cameras. The footage showed 2 Zilarians in a corridor when they thought no one was watching. Their movements changed completely, becoming precise, measured, almost like soldiers checking defenses. Susan also noticed something else. The questions the aliens asked had shifted over the 3 days. At first, they asked about culture and history. Now they asked about human pain responses, how long humans could survive without air, and how quickly the crew could respond to emergencies. These weren't friendly questions. In her office, Intelligence Officer Lisa Martinez had been busy. Despite orders to be welcoming, she couldn't shake her feeling that something was wrong. She had secretly accessed the Zalarian shuttle's computer system while it was docked with their ship. What she found was disturbing. There were records of 7 other species the Zalarians had contacted. In each case, they followed the same pattern: friendly contact, boarding the other species' ships, learning about them. And then, nothing. The other species simply disappeared from the records. Lisa needed to warn the commander, but she wanted more proof first. Security Chief Peter Wilson met with Olivia and Frank in a quiet corner of the mess hall. "You're sure about this?" Peter asked after Olivia explained their concerns. "Frank's data doesn't lie," Olivia said. "Something or someone is tapping into our power grid. It's subtle, but it's happening." Peter looked around to make sure no one could hear them. "I've noticed things too. The Zalarians ask too many questions about our weapons, our life support, our emergency protocols. It's not right." "What should we do?" Frank asked. "We need more evidence before we go to the commander," Peter decided. "Keep tracking those power fluctuations. I'll increase security checks but make them look routine. We don't want to alert our guests if they are up to something." That evening, Commander Alan Shepard welcomed Ambassador Curvex to his private dining room. It was a gesture of goodwill. Having a meal together was an important human custom. "We are honored by your hospitality," Curvex said. "The alien didn't eat human food, but instead absorbed nutrients through a special device." "I hope your stay has been informative," Alan said. "Very much so," Curvex replied. "Your species is fascinating, so adaptable, so resilient." The way the alien said resilient made Alan pause. It almost sounded like a test. "Humans have faced many challenges throughout our history," Alan said carefully. "We've learned to overcome difficulties." "Yes, we've noticed this trait," Curvex said. "Most species we encounter rely fully on their technology. But humans, you still know how to survive when your technology fails. It's unusual." Before Alan could respond, his communication device beeped. "Excuse me, Ambassador." He stepped into the next room and answered. It was Dr. Harris. "Commander, I need to speak with you." "It's urgent," she said quietly. "Can it wait, Doctor?" "I'm in the middle of dinner with the ambassador." "No, sir, it can't," Susan replied. Her voice was tense. "It's about our guests. I've been analyzing their questions and behavior. They're not here for friendship." Alan felt cold suddenly. "Explain." "They're studying us like lab animals, sir. Specifically, they want to know how we respond to threats, how we handle pain, what it takes to kill us. These aren't allies." Alan thought for a moment. "Meet me in my office in 30 minutes. Don't tell anyone else. I need to finish this dinner without raising suspicion." When Alan returned to the dining room, he looked at Curvex differently. The alien's movements, once fascinating, now seemed calculated, predatory. "Is everything well, Commander?" Curvex asked. "Yes, just ship business," Alan lied. "Tell me more about your encounters with other species." The alien's colors shifted slightly. "We have met many civilizations in our travels. Some become allies. Others choose different paths. And how do you decide who becomes an ally?" Alan asked. Curvex's eyes focused intently on Alan. "We evaluate each species carefully, their strengths, their weaknesses, their potential threat level." The meal continued with polite conversation, but Alan's mind was racing. Something was very wrong here. After Curvex left, Alan went straight to his office. Dr. Harris was already there along with Lisa Martinez. "Sir, I found something in their shuttle's computer," Lisa said without waiting. She showed him the records she'd discovered. 7 species, all gone after Zalarian contact. Alan said grimly. "They weren't making friends, they were hunting." "That's not all," Susan added. "I've been studying their biology. Those color changes in their shells? It's not just communication. I think they're preparing chemical compounds, possibly weapons." Alan's communication device beeped again. It was Olivia and Peter requesting an urgent meeting. "Come to my office now," Alan ordered. "We may have a bigger problem than I thought." In the darkness of their guest quarters, The 5 Zilarians gathered in a circle. Their shells pulsed, with colors that human eyes couldn't see. "The humans are becoming suspicious," one said. "Their security patrols have increased." Ambassador Curvex clicked in their language. "It doesn't matter. We have enough information now. They are too dangerous to be allowed to join the galactic community. They adapt too quickly. They fight too effectively. If they ever reach our level of technology, they could threaten the Empire." "When do we begin?" another asked. "During their night cycle when most are sleeping," Curvex decided. "Release the compounds through their air system. Target their command center, engineering, and security stations first." What the Zilarians didn't realize was that humans had one quality they hadn't accounted for: intuition. And right now, that intuition was sounding alarms throughout the ship. Commander Alan Shepard sat in his office with his senior officers. The room was quiet except for their voices, kept low so no one could hear them outside. "So we all agree," Alan said. "The Zilarians are planning something against us." Lisa nodded. "Everything points to it. The records I found, their strange questions, the power taps Frank discovered. Don't forget their sudden interest in our air systems," Peter added. "They've asked for tours of our life support areas 3 times. Dr. Susan Harris leaned forward. "I've been studying them closely. Their shells produce chemicals naturally. I think they can release toxins if they want to." Alan looked at his chief medical officer, Dr. Harold Cooper. "Is there anything we can do to protect ourselves just in case?" Harold had been quiet until now. His job was keeping the crew healthy, and he took it seriously. "I've already started, sir. After Dr. Harris told me her concerns, I began testing the aliens' chemical makeup. They leave small traces everywhere they go. I've made something that might help if they release toxins." "You've made an antidote without even knowing what the poison is?" Olivia asked, impressed. "Not exactly," Harold explained. "It's more like a general blocker. It won't stop all effects, but it might buy us time. I've already started giving it to key personnel disguised as routine vitamin shots." Alan nodded. "Good thinking, Doctor. Now we need a plan. If they are going to attack, we need to be ready." "I've already increased security in important areas," Peter said. "Made it look routine so they wouldn't notice. And I've set up a way to shut down sections of the ship quickly," Olivia added. "If they release something into the air, we can contain it." "What about communications?" Alan asked Kyle. "Can they contact their ship without us knowing?" "Not anymore," Kyle said with a small smile. "I've modified our systems to block any unauthorized signals. They can only communicate when we let them." Alan looked at his team with pride. Each person had seen a problem and worked to solve it without being told. This was why humans survived. "We should tell Earth Command," Lisa suggested. Alan shook his head. "No, the transmission might be intercepted, and Admiral Rogers ordered us to maintain good relations. He might order us to stand down." "So what do we do?" Frank asked. "Wait for them to attack?" "No," Alan said firmly. "We prepare. Dr. Cooper will continue distributing his protective compound. Peter, double the guards but keep it casual. Olivia, make sure your containment systems are ready. Everyone stay alert. If they make a move, we need to respond instantly." The meeting ended, and the officers returned to their duties. None of them slept well that night. The attack came during 3rd shift when most of the crew was sleeping. All 5 Zilarians moved at exactly the same time. They had waited until the human ship was at its quietest. Each alien headed to a different, critical area: the bridge, engineering, the security center, life support, and the crew quarters. Inside their hard shells, special chemicals mixed together. When they reached their targets, they would release these chemicals into the air. The toxins would paralyze humans instantly and kill them within minutes. At least, that was the plan. On the bridge, 2 night shift officers were monitoring systems. When the door opened, Ambassador Curvex entered, moving differently than before. More purposeful, more threatening. "Ambassador," said the officer in charge, "this area is restricted during night hours." Curvex didn't respond. Instead, vents on the alien's shell opened, releasing a green mist into the air. The officer reached for his weapon, but his hand began to shake. His vision blurred, but he didn't collapse as the alien expected. Instead, he managed to hit the alarm button before falling to his knees. Throughout the ship, the same scene played out. Xylarians released toxins and humans struggled against their effects. Some fell unconscious, others fought through the pain, but none died. Dr. Cooper's protective compound was working. It wasn't perfect, humans still felt the effects. But what should have been deadly was merely debilitating. In engineering, Olivia Jackson saw the Xylarian enter. She had been expecting trouble and reacted quickly. Before the alien could release its toxins, she activated the emergency containment system. Clear barriers dropped from the ceiling, trapping the Xylarian in a small area. The alien released its toxins anyway, but the green mist couldn't spread beyond the barrier. "Nice try," Olivia said, her voice hard. "But we've been watching you." In the crew quarters section, the Xylarian moved quietly past sleeping humans. It reached the main air circulation system and prepared to release enough toxins to kill everyone in this section. But as it opened its shell vents, a voice spoke from behind. "I wouldn't do that if I were you." The alien turned to see Security Chief Peter Wilson pointing a weapon at it. "We've been expecting something like this," Peter said. "You're not the first to underestimate humans." The ship's alarms began blaring. Red emergency lights flashed in every corridor. Commander Allen's voice came over the speakers. "All hands, combat stations. This is not a drill. Intruder protocol now in effect." Allen had been awake in his quarters, reviewing reports, when his screen showed alerts from multiple sections. The Xylarians had made their move. He quickly opened a small safe and took out a special device. Admiral Rogers had given it to him when he took command, to be used only in the worst emergencies. It would activate a special protocol in the ship's systems. Allen pressed his thumb against the scanner and spoke clearly. "Directive 17. Authorization, Shepard Alpha 79. Confirm." The computer responded immediately. Directive 17 confirmed. No quarter authorized. Throughout the ship, the crew understood what this meant. Directive 17 was rarely used. It meant the threat was so severe that normal rules of engagement were suspended. The attackers would receive no mercy. Marines who had been waiting for this moment moved through the ship in groups of 4. They wore protective gear that Dr. Cooper had prepared. Their weapons were set to maximum. In the security center, Lisa Martinez was monitoring everything. "Commander, we have 3 Xylarians contained. 2 are still moving freely." "Track them," Allen ordered. "Direct the Marine teams." What followed surprised even the humans. The Xylarians, despite their advanced technology and their plan, were not fighters. They had relied on their toxins to do the work for them. When faced with armed and angry humans who were still standing, they didn't know what to do. One Xylarian tried to reach the shuttle bay to escape. It encountered a Marine team in the corridor. The alien released more toxins, but the Marines wore breathing masks. "For the crew members you hurt," the team leader said, and fired his weapon. On the bridge, Allen received reports from all sections. The crew was fighting back effectively. Even those affected by the toxins were helping however they could. "Sir?" Kyle called from his station. "The Xylarian ship is powering weapons." Allen's face hardened. So this wasn't just the 5 on board. Their whole ship was waiting to attack if this failed. "What do we do, sir?" Lisa asked. "We can't match their firepower." Allen looked at his crew. They were scared but determined. "We do what humans always do," he said. "We fight smarter, not just harder." He turned to Kyle. "Send a message to their ship. Tell them we have their ambassador and team as prisoners. Then get ready to show them why you never ever board a human ship with bad intentions." The constellation shook as the first shots from the Xylarian ship hit its shields. Alarms blared throughout the human vessel. On the bridge, Commander Alan Shepard held onto his chair. "Shields holding at 80%, a crew member reported. Alan nodded. "Keep our message broadcasting, make sure they know we have their people." The plan was simple. Use the Xylarian boarding party as hostages to force their ship to back down. But Alan knew they needed more options. "Lisa, where are we with the captured Zolarians?" he asked. Lisa checked her screen. "Security has 3. Contained. The Marines are hunting the last 2. "Tell security to bring Ambassador Curvex to the bridge," Alan ordered. "Maybe seeing their leader will make them reconsider." Another blast hit the ship. The lights flickered briefly. "Shields at 65%, the crew member updated. "Sir, we can't take much more of this." Alan turned to Kyle. "Are they responding to our message?" Kyle shook his head. "Nothing yet, sir." In engineering, Olivia Jackson was working frantically to keep the ship's systems running. The Zolarian she had trapped was watching her through the clear barrier. "Your ship will destroy you," the alien said. "You cannot win against our technology." Olivia didn't look up from her work. "You aliens always think it's about technology. That's why you keep underestimating us." She finished what she was doing and pressed a series of buttons. Throughout the ship, emergency power systems activated. The lights became brighter again. "The difference between humans and most other species," Olivia told the alien, "is that we never forget our past. We keep old skills even when we develop new technology. We can fight with advanced weapons or with our bare hands. Can you say the same?" In the armory, Captain Diane Foster was equipping her Marines with special weapons. As the leader of the ship's fighting force, she had trained for this kind of situation. "These are EMP grenades," she told her teams. "If we can get close enough to their shuttle, we might be able to use their own technology against them." A Marine looked uncertain. "How do we get to their shuttle with their ship firing on us?" Diane smiled grimly. "We'll find a way. Humans always do." On the bridge, security officers brought in Ambassador Curvex. The alien's colors were pulsing rapidly, a sign of agitation or fear. "Your attack has failed," Alan told the ambassador. "Tell your ship to stand down." "You cannot defeat us," Curvex replied. "Our ship carries weapons that can destroy your vessel in moments." "Then why haven't they?" Alan asked. "Because they fear harming you and your team. That's a weakness we can use." Alan turned to the communications station. "Open a channel to their ship, visual if possible." The main screen flickered and an image appeared. Another Zolarian, larger than Curvex, looked back at them. "This is Commander Alan Shepard of the USS Constellation. We have your boarding party, including Ambassador Curvex. Cease fire immediately, or we will be forced to take action against your people." The alien commander's shell changed colors rapidly. "Return our people, and we may let your ship survive." Alan laughed, which seemed to confuse the alien. "You're not in a position to make demands. Your boarding party tried to kill my crew. That was a mistake." The alien commander clicked something that the translator couldn't catch. Then it said, "You have 1 hour to return our people. After that, we will destroy your ship." The screen went dark. "They're bluffing," Lisa said. "They won't risk killing their own." "Maybe," Alan replied. "But we need a better plan than just using hostages." "Sir," Kyle called suddenly. "I'm detecting movement from their shuttle. It's powering up." Alan frowned. "How is that possible? We have all the Zolarians contained or on the run." "Automated systems, maybe," Lisa suggested. "Whatever it is, we can't let that shuttle leave," Alan decided. "It might have data about us, or weapons we don't know about." He pressed a button on his chair. "Captain Foster, we need your team at the shuttle bay immediately." In the corridors, the last 2 free Zolarians were moving toward the shuttle bay. They had been waiting for this moment. Their ship had sent the signal to activate the shuttle's automated return program. If they could reach it, they could escape. What they didn't expect was to turn a corner and find 4 Marines waiting for them. "Don't move," ordered the Marine leader. The Zolarians released more toxins, but the Marines were prepared this time. Their masks protected them completely. "We don't want to kill you," the Marine said, "but we will if we have to." One of the aliens made a sudden movement, reaching for something on its shell. A Marine fired without hesitation. The energy blast hit the alien directly, cracking its shell. The Zolarian collapsed, green fluid leaking from the crack. The other alien froze. then slowly raised its front limbs in a gesture of surrender. In the shuttle bay, Captain Foster and her team arrived just as the Zilarian shuttle's engines were firing up. "We need to stop that shuttle from launching," she told her team. "Use the EMP grenades on my mark." The shuttle began to lift off the deck. Diane nodded to her team. 3 Marines threw small devices toward the shuttle. The devices stuck to the hull and activated. A blue pulse of energy spread across the shuttle. Its engine sputtered and died. The craft settled back onto the deck. "Shuttle disabled, Commander," Diane reported through her communicator. On the bridge, Alan nodded. "Good work, Captain. Now let's see what we can learn from it." He turned to Dr. Harris. "Susan, take a team to examine that shuttle. Find anything we can use against their ship." Susan nodded eagerly. "Yes, sir, I've been studying their technology patterns. I might be able to find something useful." The Zilarian ship fired again, more intensely this time. The Constellation rocked violently. "Shields at 40%, the crew member reported, his voice tight with worry. Alan looked at Curvex. "Your ship is getting impatient. They might decide you're worth sacrificing after all." For the first time, the alien seemed uncertain. "My people do not abandon their leaders." "Are you sure about that?" Alan asked. "They gave you 1 hour, but they're still firing. Seems like they're in a hurry to finish this, with or without you." In the shuttle bay, Susan and her team were working quickly to understand the alien technology. Frank Reyes had joined them, his engineering skills proving valuable. "Look at this," Frank said, pointing to a complex device. "I think this is their communication system. It's much more advanced than ours, but the basic principles are similar." Susan studied it carefully. "Can we use it to send a signal to their ship?" Frank thought for a moment. "Maybe. Not just any signal, though. What if we could send a false sensor reading? Make them think something is happening to their ship?" Susan smiled. "That could work. What do you have in mind?" Back on the bridge, Alan was running out of time and options. The shields wouldn't last much longer against the Zilarian weapons. His communicator beeped. "Commander, this is Dr. Harris. We found something in their shuttle. We think we can send a false signal to their ship, make them think their engines are failing." Alan's expression brightened. "Do it, Doctor, and hurry." In the shuttle bay, Frank connected human technology to the alien systems. It wasn't easy, but he managed to make it work. "Sending the signal now," he told Susan. The effect was almost immediate. The Zilarian ship stopped firing. On the bridge, Kyle reported excitedly, "Sir, they're powering down weapons. Their engines are changing configuration." Alan looked at Curvex. "Seems like your ship is having some problems." The aliens' colors changed to a pattern they hadn't seen before. If Alan had to guess, he would say the ambassador looked worried. "What have you done?" Curvex demanded. Alan smiled. "Just showing you that technology isn't always the answer. Sometimes it's understanding your enemy that matters most." He turned to Kyle. "Open a channel to their ship again." The alien commander appeared on screen once more, its colors showing distress. "This is Commander Shepard again. As you can see, we can affect your ship in ways you didn't expect. We don't want to destroy you, but we will defend ourselves. I suggest we talk about a more peaceful solution." The alien commander was silent for a moment. Then it responded, "Perhaps we have misjudged your species." Alan nodded. "That's the first sensible thing you've said so far." 2 weeks after the battle with the Zilarian ship, Commander Alan Shepard stood in a large meeting room on Earth. The room was filled with important people from the United Earth Alliance. They had gathered to hear about what happened on the Constellation. In the center of the room stood Ambassador Curvex, the only Zilarian that humans had decided to keep alive. The other 4 members of the boarding party had died during the fighting on the ship. The Zilarian mothership had retreated. After agreeing to a truce, "Ambassador Curvex," said Admiral William Rogers, "you have been brought here to explain your actions. Why did your people attack a human ship during a peaceful first contact?" The alien's colors shifted slowly. It seemed resigned to its fate. "It was not personal. It was our standard procedure. We have done this 17 times before across 12 star systems. The room grew quiet. Alan felt a chill run through him. 17 other species had faced the same test. How many had passed? Explain this procedure, Rogers demanded. When we discover a new species that might one day reach the stars, we study them, Kervex said. We make peaceful contact. We request to board their vessels. Then we assess their threat level. By trying to kill them? Alan asked sharply. Yes, Kervex admitted. If they are weak, they die, and we know they are not a threat. If they are strong enough to be dangerous, we eliminate them before they can become a problem for the Zalarian Empire. Lisa Martinez stepped forward. And the 7 species in your records? The ones that disappeared after contact with you? They failed the test, Kervex said simply. The humans in the room looked at each other. The idea of wiping out entire species just because they might someday be rivals was horrifying to them. And what happened with the other 10 species you tested? Rogers asked. They were too primitive to be threats. We left them alone to develop further. Alan shook his head in disgust. So you destroy anyone who might be your equal and ignore those who aren't worth your time? It has kept our empire safe for thousands of years, Kervex replied. Rogers looked at the alien with cold eyes. What would you have done if you had succeeded in taking our ship? We would have learned all we could about human defenses, then destroyed your major cities from orbit. Your species would have been reduced to a pre-industrial state, unable to threaten us. The room erupted in angry voices. Rogers raised his hand for silence. What I don't understand, Alan said, is how you expected to win. Even with your advanced technology, we defeated your boarding party and held our own against your ship. For the first time, Kervex seemed uncomfortable. We underestimated you. Most species rely completely on their technology. When faced with toxins or system failures, they don't know how to adapt. But humans, the alien paused. You fought even while poisoned. You kept your ship running with damaged systems. You turned our own technology against us. That's what humans do, Alan said. We adapt. We survive. We've been doing it for thousands of years. Admiral Rogers stepped forward again. Ambassador Kervex, based on what happened on the Constellation and what you've told us here, the United Earth Alliance has reached a decision. Your ship has been allowed to return to your empire with a message. Rogers nodded to an aide who pressed a button. A large screen showed a recorded message being transmitted to all known communication channels. To all spacefaring species, this is Admiral William Rogers of the United Earth Alliance. We recently encountered a species called the Zalarians, who attempted to destroy one of our ships after boarding it under false pretenses. This was part of a pattern of behavior that has led to the extinction of 7 other species. The recording continued, showing data from the Zalarian ship about the other civilizations they had destroyed. We are sharing this information freely so that other species can protect themselves. We also announced the creation of the Human Protocol, a new rule of engagement that we encourage all civilizations to adopt. Rogers looked directly at Kervex. The Human Protocol is simple. No species shall board the vessel of another species with intent to harm. Violation of this rule will be considered an act of war against all who adopt this protocol. The recording ended, and Rogers turned back to the room. We have already received responses from 4 other spacefaring civilizations. They have all adopted the Human Protocol. It seems your empire's practices have made you few friends in the galaxy. Kervex's colors turned a deep blue, a sign of what might have been shame or fear. What will happen to me? You will be returned to your people, Rogers said, with a warning. Any future aggression against humanity or our allies will be met with the full force of our combined strength. We may not have your technology yet, but as you've learned, that's not always the deciding factor. After the meeting, Alan walked with Lisa and Dr. Harris through the halls of Earth Command. Do you think they'll try again? Lisa asked. Alan shook his head. I don't think so. They're logical beings. They've seen what we can do with limited technology. They know we'll only get stronger. What amazes me, Susan said, is how they never considered that their test might actually create the very threat they were trying to prevent. By attacking us, they united humanity with other species against them. That's the problem with their thinking, Alan replied. They see everything as eliminate or ignore. They don't understand cooperation or alliance. A week later, the USS Constellation was ready to return to space. The ship had been repaired and upgraded based on what they had learned from the Zalarian shuttle. The crew gathered on the bridge for a special ceremony. Alan stood before them, a small plaque in his hands. In recognition of what we faced and what we learned, Earth Command has approved a new motto for our ship. He revealed the plaque, which would be placed by the main entrance. It read, USS Constellation, knock first. The crew laughed, but they understood the serious message behind the joke. They had faced an enemy that came aboard with bad intentions, and they had shown why that was a fatal mistake. As the Constellation returned to space, word spread throughout the galaxy about what had happened. On ships of many different species, captains added a new standing order to their first contact protocols. Under no circumstances attempt to board a human ship without clear permission. If you must board, come with honest intentions. Humans do not fight to subdue. They fight to end threats permanently. In his private quarters, Alan reviewed the reports from across the galaxy. 4 new species had made contact with humanity, all peaceful, all respectful. The human protocol was working. He smiled as he read the latest report. A Zalarian diplomatic vessel had approached a human outpost. They had remained at a respectful distance and requested permission to send a message. Not a boarding party. The message was simple. We wish to discuss terms for peaceful coexistence. Alan closed the report and looked out at the stars. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger community. They had faced a test they didn't know they were taking, and they had passed in a uniquely human way, not by having the best technology, not by being the strongest, but by doing what humans had always done best, adapting, cooperating, and turning disadvantages into strengths. And now the galaxy had learned the one rule that would keep the peace. You never board a human ship with bad intentions. Not if you want to live to tell about it.